Here in the United States, banks are now quietly closing down, and they are not even informing their customers that they are shutting down certain locations. So, accessing your money may be a little bit harder moving forward than it has in the past. I want to break down what's going on, why this is happening all at this time, but why many Americans are starting to panic that the bank that they go to every single week, cash their checks at, go and withdraw money, well, it may be going away. So again, I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain what is going on and how you will likely be impacted. But before I do, all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So it's crazy to think that there's tens of thousands of banks all over the United States. Some credit unions, very regional, smaller banks, and then we got the big banks. But what most people don't realize, banks are quietly disappearing. But what does this mean for you? What does this mean to your money? Well, I want to read a little bit of this. First off, why are banks closing? It says, Carola Friedman, professor of finance at the Kellogg School of Management, told Newsweek that the closure of bank branches reflects to a large extent a move to digital and online banking, which I expect will only continue given the changes in technology. Yes, this is huge. Banks are shutting down. Okay, the typical bank branch is closing down. You're going to go into many of these branches, but yet there's no teller. There's no representative. There's nobody even to speak to. You're talking to a monitor. You're dealing with an ATM machine. That is what a new bank is going to look like, but it's going to hurt many people. Look at this. TD Bank, this is the 7th largest bank in the United States, is closing dozens of branches across 10 states. They are going to shut down 37 branches across 10 states and Washington, D.C. Says the decision comes amid ongoing recovery efforts for the company, which is still grappling with the fallout from a $3 billion payout after pleading guilty to money laundering and failing to prevent illegal transactions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in October 2024, the DOJ revealed that over a 6-year period, TD Bank had neglected to monitor more than $18 trillion in payments, enabling the laundering of over $600 million. As part of the settlement, the bank was required to pay a hefty fine and cap its worth at $434 million. Again, that's not the only bank that's closing down. Look at this one. Flagstar Bank announces closure of dozens of branches. Says large national banks haven't been immune to the banking industry shifts, leading to high-profile bank closures at major players, including the most recent Flagstar Bank. Now, Flagstar Bank, TD Bank, Bank of America, the list goes on and on. Look at this. It says Bank of America. This is a full list of Bank of America closures coming in 2025 as branches shut again in 10 states. Why are so many branches shutting down? Well, multiple reasons. Now, yes, we are moving more towards the digital age where you can pull everything up from your phone. You don't need to go into a bank. But this is where things get interesting. When people do need a teller, do need somebody to print something out or specify why they're being charged whatever it is, guess what? Banks are now charging transaction fees. Where if you go into a bank and you want your kind of statement, your transactions actually printed out, they're going to charge you X amount of dollars per page. It's crazy. I've heard stories of banks charging $2 a page for all the transactions, but yet they don't know how many pages are actually going to come through until they print it. When I hit print on my computer or when I hit print from my phone, it tells me how many pages are going to print. But yet what's crazy is banks don't know that for sure. They're just going to print it out, whatever it is, they're going to charge you $2 a page. It's ridiculous. But think about this. Banks are also charging just to go in and speak to a representative. Oh, you want a loan? Yeah, come on in. Let's talk about it. And you talk and you talk and you talk, and they give you some information. And some banks are now charging just for that information, just to help you secure a loan through their bank. Again, this is troubling times. I want to show you this one as well. This right here says major banks shutter 145 locations in just 5 weeks as branch closures accelerate. Again, this is Bank of America, this is Wells Fargo, this is JP Morgan Chase, right? The list goes on and on. The crazy part about everything though, that everything that we're seeing is that people are now struggling to have access to their money. That's the real issue. Think about this. The other day I talked about how Bank of America is going to close down locations or cancel certain accounts. Look at this. It says Bank of America could cancel these accounts. Again, I talked about this just 2 days ago. And I said what Bank of America is doing, and again, this is troubling, what Bank of America is doing at this time is they are pretty much canceling accounts that they deem are inactive. Okay? They deem these accounts inactive, which means you haven't, used the account. You're not spending money. There has to be some type of a check cashed. You need to access the funds, right? See how much money is in your account. You gotta go and spend a little bit of money, right? Something that keeps it active. And if you haven't done that within 1 year in states like Washington or even Florida, well, they deem it inactive and the state can take your money. In states like California, Texas, Nevada, even New York and Illinois, if you don't use your account for 3 years, they deem it inactive and they can take your money and give it to the state agencies. Again, it's troubling. But the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention today is simple. Everybody is now looking at ways to secure their money, to make sure that they have money, to put money into a savings account so that they have something in the event that things hit the fan. Now, there's a very high likelihood that the United States dips into a recession. If we do, we're going to see additional layoffs. We're going to see businesses close down. We are going to see people just struggle, not be able to pay their mortgages, maybe not pay their rent. Cars are going to go back to the banks, right? Go back to dealerships because dealerships are already struggling. And on top of that, right now, I heard so many different reports today that dealerships were packed. Think about this. Car prices are through the roof. Interest rates are still very high. But yet, dealerships are telling us that they are packed because everybody's concerned about the tariffs. And so dealerships have lines of people just out the door, never seen it before. I can tell you right now, that is false. Maybe there are some dealerships that have a line of people out the door, but for the majority, they don't. So for all those people saying, oh, I need to go buy a car today before tariffs hit and I got to pay 25% more, that's not really the case. That's not really the case. Don't expect car prices to go up by $12,000. Okay, not every car is going to just be outright expensive. Keep that in mind. Okay, so right now that banks are starting to shut down because they're going more towards that online transaction. Okay, we don't have to go to the bank. If I want to send money to my friend Billy Joe, I don't need to do that. I don't need to go to the bank and get $500 out and go drive 200 miles to his house and hand him the cash anymore. I don't need to do that. I can pull up Apple Pay. I can pull up Zelle or Venmo, right? I can pull up so many different cash transaction apps, and I can just send the money wirelessly. That's why banks are shutting down. And think about this for a second. Do you have to even go into a bank to get a car loan? No. You can buy cars right online. You can go to a site like Carvana, who Carvana has thousands of different cars that they have access to. They can ship it right to your door for some free, others for a fee. You can even do a trade-in right through Carvana's website just by putting in your VIN number or your vehicle, your license plate. So you can buy cars right online. The last home that I purchased, I met with my loan officer one time. That was it. One time, and it wasn't really much. Okay, it was more just like for gifts. That's it. Now, I met with her one time. That was it. You don't even need to go into a bank to buy a home anymore. We don't need banks. So right now, banks are starting to shut down. But as banks shut down, here's the best part. It could actually be cheaper, which means now you don't have a fee that you pay. You don't have a monthly fee that you have to pay to the bank because it costs less money. So we'll see what happens, but I know a lot of people are a little skeptical about banks shutting down. Right now, I think that's the way we're going, and that means you need to get used to it. So, as I get more information on this, I promise I will bring you all the latest news and updates. That's what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.